Oh, and down he goes! Right hand, left hand, and I don't think he's going to get up. I think it's all over. I think it's over. Is he going to get up? Can he get up? Can he get up? He does. Oh my goodness! Somehow Fury has managed to get up.
If you haven't already, please also subscribe to us on Apple, Spreaker, and Spotify. Just type in Brawl Boxing and you'll find us there. Thank you.
Thanks to Wow Hydrate, who've sponsored the podcast. They provided me and the lads with some of their protein and vitamin waters, along with electrolyte drinks, which are the best on the market. Thanks for your continued support. We really appreciate it.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Brawl Boxing Podcast. I'm Kieran McCourt, and I'm joined by co-hosts Colin McGuigan and Ram McLaughlin.
Well, guys, episode 3 of our new series, and we're very excited to have this next man on the podcast. Please welcome middleweight top-ranked prospect and Muhammad Ali's grandson, Nico Ali Walsh. Nico, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me on here.
Well, it's great to have you on. We were just saying off air there. So yesterday you were rushing into the airport. We did like the first few minutes of the interview, and then we're like, oh, this isn't going to work. So it's good to have you in this this setup.
It's perfect. Thank you guys for rescheduling.
No worries at all. It's
Just before we start, what airport was that? Because you were in and out of that security very quick.
No, that security was quicker than I've ever seen. That was McCarran Airport in Vegas.
You must have got the VIP lane, did you?
No, but you know what? I'm TSA pre-check. So that gets you. That's like a zip line through the airport security.
Jeez, we need to check that one. Is that the only airport in Vegas, or is there like a few?
Yeah, that's the only international airport in Vegas. Yeah.
Nice. Nico, like obviously you got Walsh as the surname, so that must be a bit Irish in you, is there? Obviously,
yes, there is. Yeah, my grandfather was part Irish. I think it was from his grandparents, so that must be my great great grandparents, something. But yeah, there's Irish blood in me. Yes.
So we might see you at Madison Square Garden then at some point. St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. No, you know what? I one day want to fight in Ireland. I'm gonna definitely be doing that one day.
Yeah. Well, Croke Park, you know, your granddad fought there, so that would be the spot. The Irish fans as well. We're biased, obviously, but best in the world, 100%.
I know about the Irish fans. They're one of the biggest fan bases there is, especially in fighting.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like even in America, they all talk about like the British fans, and I think what they mean by that is the Irish. But the British boxing is booming, and they do have a massive fan base. But like where we're from, Belfast, if you're ever over, or you should even, if you honestly, I know you say that, but you actually should try to fight in Ireland. In Belfast.
No, I know it. No, we're actually supposed to be, within the next couple of years for sure, doing like not a tour, but fighting out of the country a lot. Because I need to visit places like, London and Ireland. I mean, that would be amazing if I fought there.
There's a festival every year. It's called Fela Festival, right? And there's 9,000 people crammed into it. It's like a makeshift stadium. This fella Colin in the corner. He'll get you on that card, no bother.
It's a top rank infested card as well, Nico. So all you got to do is speak to Uncle Bob there and get it sorted.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
So
no, I'm not just saying I'm for sure fighting in Ireland before.
Well, we've got it on tape now, so
yeah, that's it. We're sending this to Bob Arm. You're fighting on the Fela this year, exclusive, Brawl Boxing exclusive. Nico Ali Walsh is fighting at the Fela this year.
It's happening. It's gonna happen one day.
So
for sure.
So Nico, you live in Vegas now, is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
But did you grow up in Chicago?
No, I was born in Chicago, but I actually grew up here in Vegas because I moved from Chicago when I was like 3 or 4 years old.
What about the pizza in Chicago, mate? Best in the world.
Chicago and New York has the best pizza. My first time going to New York was when I fought in the Garden for my third fight.
Yeah.
And you know what? They're right. New York and Chicago's got the best pizza.
I'm a deep dish man, so not a lot of people like the deep dish. Everyone likes the thin pizza, but for me, like Chicago is creme de la creme. How was it? How was it for you?
Definitely best.
How was it for you, sort of growing up then in Vegas. Was boxing like always on your mind, or was it just something you sort of fell into because of the family name? How did it come about?
Boxing wasn't always on my mind, but it was always in my life. Always. So my house has always been infested with boxing photos, and just my grandfather, of course. So I've been around it my whole life, but at like a super young age, I want to say like 7, I started just saying, "Hey, let's throw on some gloves. Let me try boxing some guys." And then I just kind of fell in love with it then, and then it just grew over the years.
Nico, you grew up as Muhammad Ali's grandson, and that's a feat in itself. Like, no one can really say that in this world apart from a very few amount of people. What was it like growing up as Muhammad Ali's grandson? Were you kind of taken away from the rest of the world at points? Were you not allowed out and do things? Were you around him often?
I mean, I grew up with him because it was my only living grandfather. So, but honestly, it put on so much pressure to me to just be a good person, which I didn't want to as a kid. You want to go out and do crazy bad stuff and have fun. But just in school, I just felt the pressure of being a good kid, getting good grades, listening to the rules. So a lot of times that was just boring to me.
Yeah, but it must have been like even in school, for example. Like obviously everybody knows that obviously you're his grandson. Were people trying to put pressure on you to start boxing through that? And obviously that must have been annoying. Was there other route that you could have went down that you would have liked to do in another sport?
Honestly, no one was pushing me to box. Not one person actually. And I've never been interested in any other sports ever. So I mean, boxing was I'm like a one-trick pony. Like I found boxing and then I stuck with boxing and I haven't faltered since. Like that's my thing. And but I wasn't pushed to it. I felt like, I don't know if it's fate or destiny, but I just fell into it. But no one urged me to box. Even my grandfather didn't tell me, "Hey, you should start boxing."
It just sitting talking about it here, it's almost surreal. Like to grow up, like even the teachers and in school and stuff, there was no one like treating you different. I mean, he's literally like probably one of the most iconic, not just sports stars ever, people in history. Is it like Colin here? He grew up as Ryan McLaughlin's mate, and even that was kind of a big thing. But to grow up as Muhammad Ali's grandson, like that must have, like, how do people treat you?
Honestly, obviously you get some people who are like who will treat you nicer, but for the most part, people would be more stern towards me. They would be a lot more like the teachers and stuff. They would be a lot more stern towards me because I felt like they thought I was some spoiled kid or something. So a lot of the teachers were really strict on me just because of that. So that wasn't fun to deal with.
I bet when it was like parent teacher meeting day, they were like, "Here, bring your granda instead."
Yeah, exactly.
Can you get
he actually never made it to any of the schools, but he made it to like I when I was a little kid, I did this basketball thing with my brother, and he surprised us at the basketball game. So he was always around.
Oh, that must have been absolutely surreal. So what age then did you start getting into the boxing?
I mean, I just started throwing on boxing gloves and fighting kids in the neighborhood. I was just like, I had 2 pairs of boxing gloves. They weren't even mine. I was so out of boxing that I borrowed it from someone else's house. I said, "Do you have boxing gloves?" And then I would get excited. So I would put on a pair. I would throw a pair to another kid that we like in the neighborhood. And then we would just start matchmaking fights.
Were you a natural, Nico?
Was I a natural?
Yeah.
I was persistent. I was the only one who continued. Like, I was the only kid who was like, "Okay, let's go again. Okay, next person. So I wouldn't say I was a natural, but my dedication was there from day one.
Were you doing a wee bit of Ali shuffle, doing like a butterfly sting like a bee?
I didn't at all when I was young. But actually, my first like amateur fight was a fundraiser for kids cancer, and I was like 10 years old or something, and they yelled at me to do the Ali shuffle, I did the shuffle and my shoe fell off.
Oh my God.
Fighting with one shoe. But the other night when I did the shuffle, that was the second time I've ever done the shuffle in the ring. But it was the first time with both my shoes on.
Yeah, it actually looks hard to do. Like I've tried to do it even just in my bedroom and I can't. So like,
Yeah.
it just looks like
You gotta
a
have the
stressful
footwork,
thing
yeah.
to think about in the middle of a fight.
I didn't plan on doing it. If I had planned on doing it, I would have practiced it a lot better because I just keep watching it over again, and it could have been so much more smooth.
It's going to get better every time. It's going to get
Yeah.
better every time.
But it was not planned at all. It was all in the spur of the moment, and I don't practice the shuffle in training, so maybe I should start.
So what made you then sort of want to go? How many amateur fights did you have? Sorry.
I want to say I had around like close to 30. Which is not a lot considering the amount of people that, you know, like you got people like Lomachenko who has over 300, you know?
Yeah, 30 is not a lot at all.
No,
did
not
you
at all.
the whole sort of 30, or was there a point in that you went, I'm going to make a career out of this? Or was it just for fun still for most of it?
I've been a dreamer my whole life, even as a little kid. So I would always set my goals high and then, you know, work my way down if I have to. So before my first amateur fight, I said, I want to be a pro boxer. I want to be a champion. And it was just a crazy dream at the time. That's all it was. Just the same like a kid would have of like, hey, I want to be an astronaut. So it was just a crazy dream. From day one, I wanted to be a champion pro boxer, but it started becoming more and more realistic as I had more fights.
Yeah. Nico, fast forward a bit, and then you sign with Top Rank, and you're promoted by your grandfather's promoter as well, and Bob Arum. Was that a bit surreal for you? And was there maybe other promoters around, sniffing around you at that time?
That was super surreal. I wouldn't say there were other promoters, not that I know of. But I would have, like, if I got offered by every single promoter in the game, I would have still been with Bob Arum because I mean, my family's known him for so many years. We know he's an honorable guy. He, you know, he promoted his first promoted fight was my grandfather. So there's history there. And I love that repetition of history. So I'm so happy to be with him in Top Rank.
I seen an interview with Eddie Hearn earlier. He's obviously the biggest promoter our side of the water, but he did an interview today by Ariel Harwani, and he was talking about his relationship with Bob Arum, and he was saying that, you know, he remembers sitting and they were having dinner, and Eddie was going, you know, when I put on Anthony Joshua and Klitschko, there's 80,000 people in Wembley and blah, blah, blah. And he says Bob Arum just turned around and was like, yeah, I remember doing a Rumble in the Jungle. I remember doing Ali Fraser and Ali.
There's no comparison because he's got he's what he just turned 90.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's got history.
Yeah.
And he's still sharp as a tack. He's a genius still. So
why does he want to keep doing it though? It's 90 years of age. It's
like a bug. Everybody says boxing, fighting in general is like a bug. Once you catch it, you can't get out of it.
See, obviously you were touched on it that you only had about 30 amateur fights. What made you want to turn pro then so early?
I just felt like it was time. I was always told as an amateur that I had more of a pro style because the amateur racket is so much different than the pro boxing. It's like ridiculously different. So I was always told I had a pro style. I was always excited for the pros. So we just decided it was time to make it happen.
You actually, it's not all about boxing for you either. You actually graduated with a bachelor's degree. Was that something that you wanted to always do before you set foot in professional boxing?
Yeah, my family's always been education first, and I'm gonna be graduating in May with that bachelor's degree
in Vegas. I'm actually in Vegas in May, so
yeah, we're in Vegas.
Me and Colm will attend.
Yeah, we're going to your graduation party, Nico. There it is.
Yeah, no, so I haven't graduated yet, but it's been a little difficult balancing school with boxing, but nothing like too hard to handle.
Yeah, no, Colin will actually show up at your graduation.
I will be at your graduation, Nico. I can't
Do
wait.
it. I'll send you a location once I find out.
Nico, talk us through the moment that you made your debut, because obviously you've said that you grew up as a child dreaming of becoming a professional boxer. What was it like making your debut?
It was a dream come true, to say the least. It was a dream come true. I hadn't expected the debut to go the way it did. But it's just like it just shows like hard work pays off, and then like I mean dreams can come true. So once I saw that the pro debut could go the way it did, then I was like, hey, this is possible. So it's been smooth sailing ever since.
You wore your grandfather's shorts as well, didn't you? So like that must have been a special moment for you and your family together.
Yeah,
as
it
well.
was so surreal. Everything about it. I mean, because I wore his shorts, and it was amazing. The crowd was chanting his name, and I mean that whole experience was just amazing.
Yeah, that's how we first sort of came to know about you, because it sort of went viral, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like certainly like even over here in sort of Ireland and UK and stuff, like it was everywhere on all the sites. Were you expecting that? Like was there a sort of overnight fame in any sense that you weren't sort of prepared for?
I definitely wasn't not prepared. I feel like I was prepared for it. Because I feel like I've been raised by my parents to be so well grounded that no overnight fame would ever be able to change who I am as a person, like my character. So it was just I took it all as just support. Like the amount of support I've had since that fight, people saying we support you, we loved your grandfather, now we love you, it's awesome. So it's all just an honor for it all to be happening.
How do you deal with the pressure? Obviously you speak to a lot of fighters who obviously have the family members, famous family members who obviously boxed and had a great career, and some of them sort of want to distance themselves a little bit from that and try and set their own journey. Is that something that you sort of want to do as well, but obviously still remembering that obviously Muhammad Ali is your grandfather and you're obviously super proud of him as well?
Yeah, because I mean he was such an enormous life figure, not just in boxing. So I guarantee that if I wasn't in sports at all, if I was a computer tech guy, for example, I would still be getting compared to him.
Yeah.
And I would still be feeling the pressures of just being his grandson, because I felt it in school to get good grades. I don't know if my grandfather got good grades in school, but I felt the pressure then, and it had nothing to do with him. So
do you think that prepares you then for professional boxing, Joe, because of
Definitely.
that you're so young?
Definitely. It had to prepare me, because, I've never spent a day in my life where I wasn't, so-and-so's grandson. So I've been prepared since day one. And the pressures I felt in school to get good grades and to just be a good student and be a good person, that helped me with boxing for sure.
Yeah, there's probably like no, like I was just thinking about it there as you were talking, and as Ryan said, there's like Connor Ben and stuff with his dad, and Eubank with his
Yep.
dad, but there's even, I was thinking like who's even comparable, maybe like Michael Jordan's grandson, but like even that, I think Ali's just he transcends everything. Do you know what I mean? It's a totally
Yeah.
different level. Like, so it's like it's almost like a blessing and a curse. Obviously, way more of a blessing, but you know,
Yeah.
a bit of a curse in that sense.
Yeah, no, that's what I've always said. I've always said it's a blessing and a curse. It used to feel like more of a curse, believe it or not, because just it just the comparisons got to be too much. But I'm learning to deal with it. Actually, my pro debut was my first step in embracing it. It was my first time of me trying to say, hey, listen, maybe this is more of a blessing than a curse. And I've tried to embrace it, because there's no running away from it. I've been trying to run away from it for years.
Yeah, I think it's actually impossible to run away from it. Like, if I know, obviously, sometimes you want to like distance yourself and say that it's your own career, but because obviously it's Muhammad Ali, I think there's literally no getting away from it. And then, like you say, I think the correct mindset is for you just to embrace it, like you've done.
Yeah, no, there's no running away from it. Like I said, even if I was a computer tech guy, a tennis player, anything, I would be getting compared to him because we were just so close, and everyone finds out somehow. But there was a point before my pro debut where I stopped wearing his shirts. Like, I stopped wearing shirts with his name on it. I stopped wearing shirts with his face on it, and I just was trying to hide from it as much as I could. And people were still, figuring it out. So there was no hiding from it. So after my pro debut, I was like, listen, I have to embrace it, and it's worked so far.
Tell me this, and this is the last question about Ali, but we'll have to ask you. We said before we come on, we were like, don't ask too many questions about Muhammad Ali, but it's impossible when we have you.
No, it's fine.
Just curious, right? When you grew up with him, you says like you had this relationship, you were close to him, sort of growing up. Were you able to separate Muhammad Ali, the icon, from Muhammad Ali, the grandfather? Like, when you were sitting with him just in the living room, was there a part of you still like, fuck, that's Muhammad Ali in front of me, or was it just grande?
No, yeah, I still don't even think about it like that. It's always been just granddad to me, always. So still, I don't see him the way you guys would see him or anybody else. Sometimes I have to try and be like, oh yeah, he is a big guy. Oh yeah, the world does know him, but it's never been like that. It's always been like, hey, this is just my grandfather over here.
See, like, obviously it's going to be a big 2022 for you. What, at the end of the year, what do you want to what would you want to have achieved this year?
I have some goals for this year. I'd like to have, I think it's realistic to have 9-0 by the end of this year. Mm-hmm. I think that's realistic. That's a goal of mine. I would have loved to fought overseas by the end of this year.
Ireland, it's already.
I'm working on it already. I've actually already sent a text message.
Yeah, for sure. And then those are my two big goals. But
so make sure you keep August free. So see that first week of August, you're fighting in Belfast, Ireland on that top rank card. 100%. It's done.
We're gonna have to look into that one.
Yeah, there's no negotiation now, Nico. It's done.
First week of August.
You're actually being serious here as well.
Last year there was, Paddy Donovan, the top ranked prospect. He was on it. Obviously, Michael Conlon was the main event.
Oh yes. So, I remember that.
Yeah, so and top rank were here and stuff that week. So you're in the thing.
They're gonna try for an even bigger stadium this year, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think it's funny that we're talking like we run top rank.
I know. we're gonna make it happen, Nico.
Yeah, Nico's gonna go to Bob Arum. It's like, yeah, so Callum on Zoom. Yeah, he told me that in August in Ireland. You're like, who?
Yeah, hilarious.
That's funny.
Nico, just one more question before we let you go. Thanks very much for your time. Jake Paul's obviously transcended the sport in some respects. What do you make of Jake Paul at the moment in boxing? What's your thoughts on it?
I think he's done some really good things for boxing. A lot of boxers still see him as just a YouTuber, but I wouldn't say that. If he wants to take boxing seriously, which he has, then you got to give him a chance. He's still a novice. He's still a beginner. So when he's calling out the likes of like Canelo, that's unrealistic. But of course he's been doing really, really good with who he's been fighting. His last fight was the knockout with Tyron Woodley, which was an amazing knockout. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you got to give him a chance. You got to give him a chance. You got to see him as the beginner novice fighter that he is, because he could do something with it.
Is there any fights? Is there any fighters out there at the minute that you would sort of? I know you're obviously very, very, very early on in your career, but that you would look at in the future and be like, I would love to share the ring with him one day.
I think the greatest fighter of my time, the greatest living fighter of my time, is Canelo. So if I don't know if I would ever share the ring with him, but I think he's the greatest fighter of my time, and I think he's one of the greats of all time, really. So if I were to ever be in the ring with him, just me being able to say that I shared the same ring with him, that would be a huge, huge honor.
In a couple of years, we could see you v Jake Paul. You could end it all.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know about that one, but he's a different weight class.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon you'd still
I'd
do
say
it.
you could be up there.
I could get up to 190 something.
Yeah,
I'd have to
oh, here,
carry some
feel it
sandbags.
underpart.
Yeah, the fail. We're gonna title this "The Fail of Jake Paul versus Nico Ali Walsh." August 2022.
I
Nico-
don't think he's going to be in boxing long.
No.
I don't think he has a long. I don't think he wants to have a long career in boxing. I don't think.
We're just before we finish. I just want to make a public service announcement. I know Colin just said to Muhammad Ali's grandson about Jake Paul transcending boxing.
Yeah.
So we're very sorry
can't
for
believe I
anybody
actually said
that
that myself,
offended.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, no.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll edit that part out, but we'll just keep it just to laugh.
I meant more to the children, like
To the YouTubers.
yeah, the YouTubers. That was
Right.
fun.
No, Nico, you've been an absolute gentleman, and we really appreciate you rescheduling it as well, because it's been.
Oh, thank you guys. It was so much better being able to sit down and talk like a human. Not walk through-
Thanks so much, Nico. We'll definitely get you on down the line again, and obviously we'll do the sit down before your fight in August here in Belfast. And
Or at the
and build
graduate.
that episode.
Yeah,
we'll-
let's see if it happens.
Yeah,
Let's
and we'll
see
see you
what
sure at your graduation in May as well.
Yeah, someone's gonna be there. One of you guys has got to show up.
Nico, thank you so much. man.
Thanks a million.
Of course. Thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a million, Nico. Bye.
My dad likes to call that life, but I'd like to call that white girl problems. Met her back in autumn. Every gift I try to get her, she already got them. Messing with the TA, wonder what she taught him. Work her way down, literally to the bottom. Where are all my best friends? How can I